Hello viewers, it's SuperTT here. Welcome to my guide for stability management and traction control in Forza 6. So this guide will follow in a very similar manner to my ABS guide, which you can check out in the description if you have missed it. But anyway, why do you want to learn traction control off and stability management off? It's very simple, it will make you faster. If you want to become one of the fastest drivers in this game, and there's no reason why you can't be, at one point I was very slow at this game and I just sort of just taught myself to get quick, and I want to pass on those tips on to you. So there's no reason why you can't be a very good driver yourself, and the main benefit of turning these assists off is that it will just make you faster. It's very simple, and I estimate stability management could save you about a second a lap, probably about half a second, and traction control can save you up to 2 seconds depending on the track, depending on the car, but it can save you up to 2 seconds. So those two put together can save you up to 3 seconds a lap, which is obviously a lot just from 2 assists. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is going over to the options menu and go to the control and wheel settings, and then press X to go to advanced, and this brings you to the dead zone settings, which are fairly important. So the acceleration ones here are what we are concerned with here, and on the inside I've put 15 and on the outside I've put 100. So what this means is for the first 15% of movement on the trigger, nothing will happen. So the reason I've done this as 15, it is normally 0. This means when it's 0, it means that as soon as you press the trigger, something will happen. On 15, for the first 15%, nothing will happen, and I did that because I thought it was too responsive. So this is probably a good idea for a lot of people who are starting out on traction control off, probably to turn this up to 15, maybe a bit higher if you're finding it too responsive. As for my normal control settings, I'm using layout 1 and I'm using the right trigger as the throttle pedal. So to demonstrate this point, or to demonstrate how to go without these assists, I'm going to be using this car, the Aston Martin V12 Zagato. The tune, I'll put the guy's name in the description. I'm not going to read it because I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry to that guy. But yeah, just download it in the description, and then you've got yourself a very quick car for S-Class, and you can practice in it. It's a very good car for practicing traction control and stability management. And as always, I always recommend using the test drive mode because you can change the assists on and off as and when you like, and that is very good for practicing. As for the track, I've chosen Long Beach. You can practice around any track you like really, but I found this one is a good one because it's got lots of curbs and a lot of corners in quick succession, which makes it very good for practicing. And we're going to use the full circuit. So what do traction control and stability control do? So traction control reduces the wheel spin during acceleration. So essentially when you're accelerating out of the corner, if you put down too much throttle, the car will detect that and it'll cut out power so that the wheels don't spin. And that is normally on the road, that's a very good thing, but in the game it's not a good thing, it slows you down. Stability control will detect that your car is spinning, and it will apply a brake to an individual wheel to stop the car from spinning. And again, that sounds like a good thing, and it is good on the road in an everyday situation, but on the track and in this game it's not a good thing because it slows you down again. So I'm going to show you what stability control looks like, and it looks a little something like this. So I'm going to come into turn 1 here, and I'm going to go full throttle as I go through, and you can see there the car is just refusing to spin. I'll do it around this little roundabout here. So again, full throttle. The car is just refusing, well, not quite refusing to spin out. I managed to make it spin out there, but on the whole it is not spinning out. So it's detecting that the car wants to spin, and it's braking an individual wheel and stopping the car from doing that. So STM basically controls you round a corner, and traction control stops you spinning out as you come out of the corner, as you start accelerating. So we'll demonstrate what that looks like. You can see when I'm using traction control in the bottom right, it will flash up next to the gear meter. So as you come around here, I'm going to go full throttle. You can see that it was flashing up. It's slowing me down. I can feel it slowing me down as I go full throttle out of that corner. So it's cutting the power essentially, but they've programmed it so that it essentially cuts down too much power and it makes you slower. That's the way the game is programmed. So we're going to go around the final corner here. I'm going to go full throttle into the wall. But I can feel it again, the car is going very slowly because the car is essentially cutting power. So it might seem like a good thing that the car is stopping you from spinning, but if you can just control the spin yourself, then you've essentially got a lot more power to play with, so because the car is just cutting out the power for you. So we're going to turn traction control and stability control off, and I'll show you how you should drive. So that was a very controlled lap around Long Beach in this car, and that demonstrates how easy it is really to drive with assists off. Now the main things you have to look out for are these things here, the curbs. Once you start accelerating when you're on a curb, you're just going to spin out. So that's the main thing you have to watch out for, or one of the main things. The other thing is the steering angle on the car. So don't go full throttle when you're still turning. So throughout that clean lap you can rewind and watch that lap again. I pretty much never go full throttle when I'm still in the turn. So as I come out of the turn here, for example, I'm going to wait, and then only then when I'm in a straight line am I going to go full throttle. So it's a good idea as you go around these corners, hold down the throttle about 30% or 50%, then gradually up to 100% on the exit, only when you know that you're not on a curb and when you're in a straight line. So I'm waiting and then full throttle. To begin with, this is going to feel extremely unnatural because you're probably used to just mashing the throttle all the way down and letting the car do all the work for you. So to begin with, this is going to feel very strange, but I think just with a bit of practice, not too much practice, it doesn't take too long really. Once you can get it down that you don't want to accelerate straight away, you should be getting a lot quicker quite quickly. It might be a good idea to do a few laps around this track with the assists on, see what lap time you can get, then turn it off and see if you can try and beat your lap time. Eventually you will, and at that point you know that you've pretty much got used to no assists, or these two assists off. So it's actually fairly simple. The thing you have to learn really is to accelerate very gradually as you come out, and only accelerate fully when you're in a straight line or approaching a straight line, when you're near enough, when the car is straight essentially, and when you're not on a curb. Don't accelerate fully when you're on a curb, that is always going to result in trouble. So just avoid that at all costs. You see there I got a bit of oversteer because I was accelerating while I was still turning. So in that situation I should have just held the throttle around 30%, and then once I'm in a straight line then fully accelerate, and then I'll be a lot better. Another thing to do is when you start hearing the car screeching, you can hear the tyres screeching when you start accelerating too much. just like that. You can hear the tyres screeching. As soon as you hear that, don't lift off the throttle completely, just let off a little bit. If you let off completely, that will unsettle the car as well. So you just got to let off a tiny amount. And this is the hard thing to learn, I guess, on the controller, on the throttle, if you're not used to it. But that is a tip for you. As you progress, you'll probably come back to that tip and remember, oh, the car's about to spin, I can hear it spinning, I can see it spinning, if you're using this viewpoint. And you just got to release the throttle ever so slightly. So if you're on about 70% throttle, release it down to about 50 and the car should stop spinning, and then you'll be okay. And incidentally, how do you know how much percentage you're putting down? You look at the bar at the bottom right, the blue meter there shows how much throttle you're using, so it's 100% at the moment, so it's all the way up. Another way to do it is to press down on the D-pad, and then you can see on the right hand side, the second one down, throttle 100%, so you can see exactly how much throttle I'm going to use there. So we'll do a lap here and you can see exactly how much I'm using at which point. So second gear for this corner. So you can see how long it takes to go into full speed, but that is a good thing. It actually is a lot quicker, so 100% there. And I'll tell you when I go 100%. So you see how long after the corner I'm going on 100%, it's ages. So there, all the way out to the wall before I'm on 100%. Coming to the left-hander. This is quite a tricky one because it goes on for quite a while, this corner. And on the exit there, 100%. I was still turning a little bit, but you can get away with it if you can control it. Avoid the curb on the inside again, and then accelerate. So again, this track is really good because it has lots of curbs. You have to learn to avoid the curbs around this track. Some of the red ones are okay. You can go over the red curbs. But it's the ones on the inside, the little white bits on the inside, you do not want to touch them at all. They really unsettle the car. And another tip for the manual users, if you're on manual, you can keep it in a gear higher. So around this corner, I probably could go into first. So I'm going to try first on this lap. And the car just wants to spin out. It's a lot better to go around in second gear probably for that corner. So if your car is spinning out a lot, coming out of a corner, try going in a gear higher. This will lower the revs, and it will mean the car isn't as responsive, which is a good thing because it means that the tyres won't spin out. So my golden rules, shall we call them, about traction control and stability management off. I'd recommend you can probably turn them both off at the same time. Although, if you're finding it a bit difficult, probably just turn off stability management first, see how you go with that off, and then once you're confident with that, then turn off traction control. So again, my golden rules for this would be, don't accelerate fully until your car is straight. If your car is turning and then you accelerate fully, you're just going to spin out, and that's not a good thing. Curbs, try to avoid them as much as you can, especially the big curbs like these white ones on the inside. The red and white ones here on the inside are okay, but it's just those big white ones you want to avoid. And don't accelerate whilst you're on a curb, because that just is asking for trouble. The grip on those curbs isn't very high, so you're just going to spin out if you do that. As for the percentages around the corner, anything between about 20 and 60 whilst you're going around the corner is good. So just hold it around something like that, around the corner like that, nice and gently, and then once you're in a straight line, then start accelerating fully, unleashing the whole power of the car. You'll be able to tell if you accelerate too much because the car will start screeching. It will make a very evident sound like this. You can hear that screeching of the tyres. As soon as you hear that, release the throttle ever so slightly, down about 20 or 30%, and then the car should stop spinning like that. But you just want to avoid doing that in the first place. If your car is constantly doing that, it means you're accelerating too early. Just don't do that for the next lap. Remember exactly how much you're accelerating, and on the next lap, try and do less. So you can see here I've already done 9 laps, about 13 minutes worth of driving. And this is the kind of thing you're just going to have to do if you want to get better at this game. It might seem very daunting at first, trying to learn these assists off. You're probably thinking, oh no, I'm not good enough to do that. But I can tell you, at one point I thought exactly the same thing. I thought, oh, there's no way I can turn these assists off. I used to be a driver who had all the assists on. Back in Forza 2, Forza 3, I used to have them all on. But then I taught myself, actually, you know what, I think I can try this and see how good I can get. So I've got myself into a level now where I'm fairly easily within the top 1% of drivers in this game without really trying too hard. So I believe that pretty much any of you can get into this top 1% of players in the game if you just practice this. Just give yourself half an hour on this track, going around with the traction control off, stability control off, and you should be able to get the hang of it quite quickly. As I said earlier, try and beat your lap time, see how easily you can, see how many laps it takes, and if you're spinning out, be a bit more careful on the throttle. It's very easy, it's very simple actually, and hopefully with all of these tips it will make you quicker in the long run. Of course, if you have more questions regarding this, then just post them in the comment section. I'll try to get back to you and I'll see what I can do about that. As for my other guides, I have a manual with clutch guide on the channel. I have an ABS guide which is very recent, so you should be able to find that in my recent videos area on the channel. In the outro will be a how to survive lap 1 guide on the right hand side of the outro. So if you want to check that out, it will show you a couple of tips on how to avoid being smashed into on lap 1, which pretty much happens on every race. And in the future I want to come up with a manual guide. So I've got a manual with clutch guide, but that's for people who already know manual, but I don't have a manual guide, so I really do want to come out with one in the future. So remember guys, hit that like button if this video has helped you, or if you like it in general, and subscribe if you want to see more of the same. So for those of you new to the channel, I do play on Forza mostly, or pretty much that's all I play now, and I try to make you guys a lot better at racing, and that is the main aim of the channel. So I hope you've enjoyed this video guys. Remember to let me know your thoughts on these assists and if it helps you, and remember to let me know if you have been converted to assists off, if I have helped you learn the assists off and you're confident with them off now. Please let me know, because it's very good to hear that people are learning. So that's going to be the end of this one. I hope you have enjoyed it, I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, goodbye.